Tonight's event, as a matter of fact, this week's activities are extremely historic for many, many reasons. And tonight, we are very special because it is also a celebration and recognition of the very rich heritage and tradition of the humanities here at NCCU. Tonight's conversation with Ms. Judith Jamison is the first in what will be an annual presentation in the humanities at North Carolina Central University. Recently, the American Academy of the Arts and Sciences conducted a major study on the humanities. It was entitled "The Heart of the Matter," and I quote, "The humanities remind us where we have been and help us envision where we are going, emphasizing critical perspective and imaginative response. The humanities, including the study of languages, literature, history, film, civics, philosophy, religion, and the arts, foster creativity, appreciation of our commonalities and our differences, and knowledge of all kinds. The humanities help us understand what it means to be human and connect us with our global community. Please enjoy."
Flying bird, fly on. I want the clouds over my head, over my head, over my head. I don't want no snowboard day, yeah. No more day. I'm gonna live until I'm dead. Till I'm dead. Mother, 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 save your child. Mother, 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 save your child.
Never had an introduction like that, so I thank you. Oh my goodness, I thank you. Nobody's gonna believe this. And I'm proud because I could relate to being the first female to take over a predominantly male-oriented, agenda. Nothing against you guys, I love you. But there's something about to happen that maybe you're not foreseeing when you put a woman in charge. And it's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing. I'm not putting you guys down. But let me say this about a man named Alvin Ailey. Alvin Ailey, before he passed away, of course, had in place Sylvia Waters, director of Ailey II, the late Denise Jefferson, director of the Ailey School, Judith Jamison, director of the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater. I put in place the executive director of Alvin Ailey Dance Foundation, Sharon Luckman, and the chairman of the board, Joan Weil. That's 5 women running the Alvin Ailey Dance Foundation and the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater. Ironically enough, I turned it over to men. Don't ask me why, but this is how it happened, y'all. It's just how it happened. Now that I'm emeritus, the Alvin, or emerita, is it emerita or emeritus? Either or. Fill me in, you're academia, let's go. Yeah. U.S., thank you very much. But now that I am that, I've turned the company over to an incredible young man named Robert Battle. If you haven't heard of him, read up on him because he's been doing miracles. Oh, hi, balcony. I didn't see up there, hi. He's been doing remarkable things with this legacy that Mr. Ailey has left us. We'll be 56 years old this year. 50, you know, I mean, that's amazing if you think of one man coming from a little tiny town in Rogers, Texas, White House, Texas, I think it's called. And he had an idea, he had a vision that he would appreciate and celebrate the African American cultural expression and experience and the modern dance tradition of our country by putting forward all these incredible artists of color and the door was open to invite anyone who was talented enough to come in and join us. I thank him for that. I was sitting next to Dr. Saunders White and I'm going like, I am blessed. I am just totally blessed, and it's taken me till I'm going to be 71, and I know that makes me kind of young to some of y'all in here. But you know, the older you get, the more you reflect on all this, and you kind of go like, "Are you kidding?" And no, God wasn't kidding. He said, "Let's go." Even if I had doubts, and let me get to the speech because I talk about that. And I don't want to get too formal as I go because I like to go with the flow as opposed to necessarily what's written down in front of me, which took me a long time to write. But I'd like to start as formally as I can because I am in the presence of higher learning. I'm in the presence of this wonderful institution, and I'd like to respect that. So if you want to go out and take a breath while I'm trying to get through this, go right ahead. But we will get to the Q&A, and I'm sure you'll enjoy that. I want to thank Carlton Wilson for, where is he? Where did Carlton go? Oh, there you are. For escorting me from here, for having me here. And Stephanie, where are you, Stephanie? What happened to Stephanie? Hey, Stephanie. Thank you very much, Stephanie Freeman. And where's Andrew? Andrew Winters. Is he here? Oh, thank you. Who escorted me when I first got into town. So I thank you very, very, very much. I felt very welcome coming in. And as I say, I'm especially honored to be here as the inaugural speaker for this program at this very historical time. The installation of the first permanent woman chancellor at this storied bastion of education. My heartfelt congratulations and felicitations to Dr. Deborah Saunders White, a woman who charted her own course and is a stalwart in her belief and understanding of the importance of a good education. More importantly, she is a role model who is actively giving back to her community. We need more leaders like this who are not only visionaries, but also passionate about their cause. To look back and to reach out to those who need it. Even in our president, who started his career as a community organizer, He set a mandate to challenge us to give back in some way, starting with our own communities. I noticed that in the mission statement of this university, it states, in partnership with teaching and research, service prepares the students to transform global communities. I believe passion in conjunction with service is the key to leadership. I'm here today to talk about how I've been doing this with the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater for most of my life, charting my own course to becoming the leader of my own destiny with God's help in my own professional life by educating, informing, inspiring, and celebrating the human experience through movement. For a long period of my time in my life, the way I communicated was very physical. By the way, there is no such thing as a dumb dancer. You can't move that body unless there's a brain behind it. And I want to thank, give me her name, Lakeisha. Whoa, Lakeisha did some brain work on that. She really did. Is Lakeisha in the house? Where's Lakeisha? She's not in the house? She's changing clothes, she's exhausted. That was hard what she did, because she kind of paraphrased the solo cry, because I recognized some of the steps that most of the steps that she was doing. She was wonderful. I like that sense of, I'm going to step out on my own, I see what you're doing, I'm not going to imitate it, I'm going to create. And I love that. I love that about what she did. Well, anyway, my life, of course, was going through dance. But in order for what I was doing on stage to translate to the audience, I had to be very passionate about what I was doing, about life, and living it in the most profound way that I knew how. Embracing a spiritual enrichment that included experiences, both good and bad, catapulted and helped me evolve into my leadership role in the consciousness of service. I believe the arts and artists add a vibrancy and a vitality to the cultural landscape of any community that embraces the arts as an integral part of a child or a young person's education. I'm passionate about seeing how people come into the theater as individuals and leaving as a part of a community, transformed by seeing themselves reflected in the humanity and generosity of the Ailey dancers. I always tell young people, and I'm referring to my world of dance, but also young people and those of us who are still young at heart, much like students that are in this audience, that in order to be focused on your path, you need to seek mentors. We all need mentors. Even at this age, I still need my mentors. One of them is Carmen de Lavallade. You saw her in a picture with Alvin Ailey as he had her over his shoulder. She, the great Carmen de Lavallade, married to Jeffrey Holder, the great Trinidadian artist. She introduced Alvin Ailey to dance. He was a gymnast, a teenage gymnast, and she dragged him to his first dance class in California. Teachers in our society are usually the unsung heroes in molding and mentoring young people, and essentially being in tandem with parents, the major influence in a person's life. It's the obligation of the mentor or teacher to redefine the impossible, to bolster our uniqueness by helping us become that whole person that I look for in nurturing dancers. Otherwise, we have no way of telling our stories to relate to you in our performances. A mentor is someone whose presence stays with you, who helps you make choices, who makes you know that you are on the straight and narrow, and that is not a restrictive place to be. As a matter of fact, it's liberating to have something stable to stand on from where you can spread your wings and soar. I repeat, this affects your entire life, not just when you're young. We are in an extraordinary time in our history where we have a great president who is a learned man. He's made education for all young people a priority. He encourages our youth to dream bigger. And in his words, it's only when you hitch your wagon to something larger than yourself that you can realize your true potential. Can some of us who are older reflect back on that and see how far we've come? It's grace. It's nothing but grace and your hard work. That sentiment, that's okay, that's okay. Oh, and you know what? I'd like to thank, who sang? Who was the singer? Who sang? Do you know who his name was? Where are you? Can somebody tell me his name? Nobody? Oh my goodness. Did he throw us back or what? I thought it was a recording. And what an appropriate song, right? It's been a long time coming. That sentiment, by the way, that you can realize your true potential, was shared by my parents, who were extraordinary role models and had influenced my personal journey as a young woman. As you know, I was born in Philadelphia in the pre-civil and women's rights era, if you could imagine that. I mean, Philadelphia is the city of brotherly love. Anybody know Philadelphia? City of brotherly love. Okay, this is the 50s, all right? But my parents were John and Tessie Jamison. Now, my daddy was from South Carolina, Orangeburg. My mom was from Bartow, Florida, okay? So my southernness is right here, right all over me. Fortunately, even though there were situations all around in Philadelphia at times that weren't all that fabulous, I was blessed to be in a household full of love, caring, and support. And I was born to parents who imbued my life with grace and artistry. And through their love and benevolence and understanding, provided ample nourishment for my life steps. My mother and my grandmother were the queens of the household. They were strong women who held their families together. My father, and all the Jamison men, in fact, had a unique manner. They were Southern gentlemen and carried themselves with great dignity and integrity. My father, a man of strength, worked many jobs so that just in case he lost one, which was very difficult during that time. We're talking 40s and 50s, okay? He would still be able to provide for his family. By profession, he was a sheet metal mechanic whose musical abilities hinted at deeper talents. He also worked as an insurance salesman. He was an accomplished carpenter who built all the cabinets in our kitchen, and he built an outdoor grill before there was such a thing as Weber. He also sang in a quartet on CBS radio. My father and mother were two halves of a whole, and it was refreshing to grow up in a family where there was an equal partnership between parents. Their resourcefulness and can-do spirit permeated every aspect of our lives, from education to the arts. My brother and I were strongly encouraged to use our creative mind, my brother John. Our imaginations went rampant. It would depend on whether they went shopping and we were upstairs on the third floor boxing each other with boxing gloves, and they would come home and I would be the first one. He hit me. You know, my imagination went rampant. But if we could imagine it, we could do it. We were inspired to appreciate life and each other as human beings, to savor life and not rush through it. My parents' lives were not defined by their circumstances because we didn't have any money. They made things accessible and exposed us to a myriad of experiences. You could say the roots of my artistic and cultural life came from being taken to the opera, to museums, to concerts, to theater, from hearing my father's fingers over the piano playing a Rachmaninoff sonata. Some evenings, my parents would dance cheek to cheek in the living room, listening to Sarah Vaughan or Duke Ellington or Count Basie. You should listen to some of this stuff. You should, Lil Darlin', write it down, look it up online. Lil, because Lil Kim wasn't the first one to use that Lil. Lil Darlin' by Count Basie. Smoothest, most beautiful chord structure, beautiful music. Just listen to it when you have some quiet time. But look it up online. Thank God for the 21st century. And every Sunday, we, of course, would go to church. Every Sunday, that's standard. Mother Bethel AME Church. I have to give a shout out to the church that I am a member of now, which is the Abyssinian Baptist Church in New York City. Reverend Dr. Calvin O'Butts is my pastor. But when I was growing up, it was Mother Bethel, Richard Allen, Mother Bethel AME Church. Every Sunday, as you well know. You know that, right? Am I speaking to people that know going to church every Sunday? Thank you. And then sometimes you didn't want to go, but you went, you know, and there was no faking. There was no faking, right? There was no, oh, I don't feel so well, etc. You went to church. But there I experienced my worship, my solace, my faith, my fellowship. And I was also, and the love of God. And then I was fascinated by 5 choirs in different robes, ministers with red suspenders under their robes. You know, I mean, it was pageantry and it was theater, you know, and I love it to this day. And I thank God that I grew up in that, in my church, period. It's still a part of my life. Well, the practical aspect of that artistry was taking dance classes with an extraordinary woman named Marion Sujet. She created a world. Who knows Marion Sujet? Stop. How do you know Marion Sujet?
Because I was in your ballet class.
Stop. What's your name? Oh my gosh. You're from Philadelphia. Oh my gosh. Excuse, I'm sorry. We're coming out of that. I'll talk to you later. Marion Sujet. Oh. Oh, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Thank you. Hallelujah. She introduced us to life. I'm talking to you directly. She looked Caucasian. Hello. She had red hair and green eyes. And she rented studio space from landlords who would not rent to a person that they thought was black. She was the first African American to rent space in Center City, Philadelphia. She broke the color barrier, but was constantly evicted once they figured out all these black children were running in after her. Am I right? I'm right. She had to move her studio I don't know how many times because eventually they would find out and kick us out in order, somehow they find some excuse to avoid a civil rights action against them. But in spite of these obstacles, she insisted on teaching in Center City. She certainly didn't let something like institutionalized racism deter her from her unwavering dedication to young and impressionable students. And we were babies. I don't know if you were that little, but I was little. I started with her when I was 6 years old. I mean, that's why I can't get up the steps that fast now, you know. You realize how long I've been dancing? Come on now. Wears and tears. I mean, if I have to show you something, I will. But she made me very well aware at a young age what set her apart as a leader in a community. I was protected in many ways by my mother and Ms. Sujet so that I could focus my talents and ability. And as a child, having that kind of foundation and attention, it gave me the power to find my own niche. I found out, you know, if the door isn't open for you, then make your own doorway. Am I right?
Yes.
You can have the door slammed in your face but so many times. That's okay. That's okay. Then it's up to you as a vital and unique human being, bolstered by what I call those angels with no wings, to find another way of doing what you have to do. It's like Eleanor Roosevelt said, instead of cursing the darkness, light a candle.
Yes.
That the power to achieve comes from within. It means believing in yourself, no matter how ferocious or how tough the climb seems to be. To know that there's a light that shines in all of us, and with commitment and dedication and passion and faith and humility and a sense of humor, we cannot forget about laughter and the joy that we have, you know, in being inside these bodies. We have to still keep that going, we can make any positive dream come true. Even as a child, I had my eyes on the prize, and that helped me define the rest of my life. From being a dancer in Ailey to being on Broadway, who brought me that sophisticated lady poster? Where's the, oh my goodness. Now that's a blast from way in the past. That's 1980, when I was on Broadway doing Sophisticated Ladies with the late, great, as you saw, gorgeous Gregory Hines. Ooh. Oh, and Phyllis Hyman. Wow. I mean, these were remarkable artists. And as I brag, singer that I am not, except in church I was pretty good, but singer that I am not, there's a Broadway album you can buy called Sophisticated Ladies, and I'm singing on it. Oh. I'm very proud of that. You don't have to applaud, that's okay, but I'm just proud of it. I'm going like this to myself. It's a wonderful thing. It is. But from Sophisticated Ladies to having my own company, Jamison Project, and before Alvin passed, I know that he was preparing me for a leadership role. I know he was preparing all of us for leadership roles. It wasn't just me. You know, there's a marvelous dancer whose name you should know named Dudley Williams, who was with the company for 40 years. You know, he was being trained as a leader. All of us were. But remember, when I joined the company in 1965, there were only 10 of us in the company. There are now 30 dancers in the company. They are on tour as I speak. Fabulous tour, led by the great Robert Battle. I went to my first performance of Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater in 1963 with my classmates because I was a student at the University of Arts. It was called the Philadelphia Dance Academy back then. And I saw him perform for the first time. And as you saw him, if you recognized him in that wonderful clip, what a great job that was editing that clip. That was, the video was wonderful, thank you. But he moved like Quicksilver. He looked like a truck driver. I mean, he was like really big guy. And he moved like, I mean, it was, I can't even approximate. This is it, folks. This is all you get. I cannot approximate the way he moved. And so he stunned us. He stunned us by his performance. And in our improvisation class the next day, all of us ended up doing this. Do you recognize that, anybody? That's I've been buked and I've been scorned. That's the end of it. We all did that. We were supposed to be being original. That's what we did. Nothing original. We were so overwhelmed by his presence. A few years later, which was in 1965, because I don't know if some of you knew that I worked the log flume ride at the World's Fair. Y'all didn't know that. I worked the log, and I don't mean doing anything interesting, except I met a lot of people because I would help them in and out of the boats, you know, and get wet and all that. It was fun. I had a good time. But at that time, there were no jobs for African Americans in American Ballet Theater, which was the first company that I ever was with when I came to New York. So after that gig was up with Agnes DeMille, that was it. So you went and filled in and got a job where you could. So it was the log flume ride at the World's Fair. The one that bombed, you know, the World's Fair, that didn't work at all. But I worked, so it was good. And then I went to an audition. And the audition was for Mr. Donald McHale, who is another icon in the world of dance. I was so bad at that audition, you would not believe it. It didn't look like I had a right leg or a left leg or anything else. I showed up at the audition with some tights that I had made. I believe they were lime green. And they were, I knitted them. And I had, under that, I had on pink tights, a pink leotard, standard equipment for classical ballet, pink ballet shoes. The other people that showed up for the audition had on wigs down to here, very dramatically cut, lashes out to here, lipstick, stiletto boots up to here. That's what you were supposed to be wearing to this audition, and I had no idea. Mr. McHale kept me to the last minute in this audition. He really worked with me. I was so bad, he was just being a gentleman. He worked with me. I was terrible. He cut me from the last ones, and I left really in a hurry. It's like I ran up the aisle and passed this guy on the steps, but I didn't pay any attention. Passed him, went, called my mother at home, said, "Mom, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to stay in New York. But I don't know what my next job is or anything. 3 days later, Alvin Ailey called me. That was my first time of being with the Alvin Ailey Quartet. 3 days later. It's amazing when you look back on that. Who gets jobs like that? People get jobs like that. Human beings, you know, because your path is guided. I just believe that. You are guided.
Absolutely.
And I believe that if you are where you're supposed to be, the universe is in order and you're going to get what you're going to get. You know? But there's that other thing called pray, prepare, and proceed. You know, that you really have to be on time.
Yes.
You have to be prepared. That's why you're going to school. You got to be prepared for all this stuff. Because you can flaunt it as much as you want to, but if you don't have that high C, or high B flat, or whatever that high note is, there's no way of going this way, and no way of going this way. You either hit it or you don't. And that means preparation. Preparation. I cannot say enough about preparation, and you better pray before you start to prepare.
Yes.
I got church over here. Many people that I meet, especially young people and students, know they want to do what they want to do, or they don't know what they want to do with the rest of their lives. You have an advantage here in that, as I say, you have these guides that can help you, that can steer you, you know, toward the directions that you want to go in. How brilliant is that? How family is that, to go to a school where people will embrace you and help you and guide you along the way and let you know which way to go or what is available to you. Because sometimes it's hard enough to figure out what you want to do when you're young for the weekend, let alone for the rest of your life. So the question of your life looms large, and it's terrifying to lots of people. And sometimes time is passing, it's getting later, you feel like you're under pressure, and you got to make a decision. And y'all just need to relax, have patience, and listen. The hardest thing for me to understand as a leader was to listen, to hear others, to take in what you need to drink in, and then release the rest. Use what you need to use, but to listen and to have patience and be confident with that patience. Alvin Ailey, you know, started his company in '58 in the midst of the civil rights era. He started the company not only as a response to the lack of work for talented black dancers, but also because he was an artist and he needed to create and choreograph. And he wanted a company that would explore, as I said, the modern dance tradition, as well as the black cultural expression and experience. And he wanted to show our beauty, our dignity, our passion, using the powerful language of dance theater. He had a persistent need to tell our stories, and his focus was humanity, not just color. He said we were his gods and goddesses, and of course we believed him. We were his poetry in motion, and his passion was ours. Dance can be a celebration and an affirmation, offering freedoms that are impossible in ordinary life. We were compelled to dance in that infinite hollow of the heart where a light shines so brightly. It's called the human spirit. It's called lineage, transcendence, commitment, dedication, and knowing you have a gift to be shared, to leave an indelible impression upon mind and spirit. When I think of Alvin Ailey, I think of rivers, the clarity and strength of water, carrying with it the memory of its source as it pushes forward. I think of winding rivers, of water brimming with life. 7 months before he passed on December 1st, 1989, Alvin asked me to take over the company, and I said yes, of course. He tried to prepare me for some kind of leadership, as I said. He gave me the confidence to know that I could step in for him. Everyone else was saying how difficult it was. Did anybody tell you how difficult this is going to be? How come people get up in your face and tell you stuff like that? I don't know why either. You haven't done it yet. Stop, leave me alone. Let me cross those bridges. By the way, I am prepared. Ooh. Hello. Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm saying directly to Dr. Saunders' wife. I'm saying this directly to her. She's shaking her head, knows what I'm talking about, right? Y'all know what I'm talking about. You know, you have to, this is where the faith comes in, you know, and you have to rely and remember, you know, that you're standing in God's grace, and this will get you through. It's going to get you over. When I took over as artistic director, we had $1 million deficit, which doesn't sound like much, but in an artistic institution, not-for-profit, if you have $1 million deficit in 1989, you are broke. Offices and studios were crammed into one floor of a building, and our company was in mourning. Today, we continue to pursue our passion. Alvin's vision of having a company, strong belief and conviction of sharing it with the world has manifested itself as the largest and possibly the most popular modern dance company in the world. The most popular dance company in the world. We are celebrating our existence, and whenever you all come to New York, and you must, our existence now we've been in this building for 10 years. We built it, we own it, we have an endowment for it. It is the largest dedicated dance building in New York City. It is 77,000 square feet. There are 12 studios. There's a black box theater that seats 300 people inside of it. I am so proud of that. I cannot tell you, from that one vision, all it takes is one idea, you know, one idea, a kernel of an idea. It's like, what's the mustard seed? You know what I'm saying? That kernel, that tiny thing, 77,000 square feet. We have over 3,500 students from all over the world enrolled in our classes. Ailey 2, the junior company, comprised of Ailey School's most talented scholarship students who perform in a variety of venues. Our arts and education and community programs that give over 100,000 young people from diverse cultural, social, economic backgrounds the opportunity to explore their creative potential and learn life skills. The Ailey Extension, which is for people who think they can't dance but want to come, you know, and move. And we offer all kinds, we have yoga, Zumba, capoeira, Bollywood, Bhangra, ballroom, in a non-competitive setting, of course. It ain't Dancing with the Stars. It's a non-competitive setting. We started out 8 years ago. This is gonna blow your mind. We started out 8 years ago with 500 people registered, 500 people coming through the doors, registered, off the street to take class. They don't get it for free, they gotta pay a little bit. But off the street, 500 people. We have now registered 75,000 people that come through the door 8 years later. It's amazing. Now, how did we get to this juncture? I believe each generation informs the next. The advantage of the tradition of the Ailey Company is that it speaks to the past, the present, and the future. Also, the love I have, and we all have, for what we do as a part of wanting to serve. Because it's not just us getting up on stage, dancing and being fancy and gorgeous and y'all loving it, and us making it easy and getting the applause. It's about the service that we render in doing excellent performances and going out into the community and how we carry ourselves, how we hold ourselves as human beings. Yes? Now, I believe this absolutely. I've been very fortunate in surrounding myself with people who share the vision and have the skills and passion and dedication to bring us to where we are now. That is why I personally selected Robert Battle, who I told you about, to run things now. He knows what he's doing. Another key component of leadership for me is trust. I'm a firm believer in delegating responsibility to those who have been chosen for their jobs and trusting them to do it well. Yes. That's why I chose them. I think it's imperative as we go into the 21st century that our young people be guided by the torchbearers who have stood on each other's shoulders since the beginning of time. I'll say it again. I think it's imperative as we go into the 21st century that our youth be guided by the torchbearers who have stood on each other's shoulders since the beginning of time. Amen. It's also crucial that young people be guided by the principle of service. I deserve to serve you just like you deserve to serve me. It's a skill we all have. We just have to cultivate it to care for another human being as we want them to tend to us. It is a skill that has to be learned and practiced. Skill has been represented in my life as a dancer, artistic director, and leader. It's what I see in every dancer in the Ailey Company, the ability to serve others by excellence in performance. At Ailey, we know how important it is to serve. If we did not know, there would not be a company that has lasted for 56 years or have the connection to the communities that we serve. It's winding down, folks, just a little bit more. Hang in there with me. One has to really care. I don't think you have to learn to care. You got to care, period. It's in all of us. I'm reminded of the kids that come to our Ailey camps, which we have 9 across the United States in different cities. And they come in kicking and screaming. They don't want to be studying dance. They don't want any creative writing. They don't want to interact with each other. And when they leave, they're all in tears because they want it to continue. We're responsible for those lives and for changing their perspectives about what they think is possible in their lives. And I'm extremely proud of the Ailey organization to be able to continue to do that. Wow.
That's good.
You know, they realize they've never left that path to life. And they continue on it, and by the next summer, they're at our door, wanting to return, as I say, and be of service to other young campers who might be reluctant to take that leap of faith. That shining path is possessed by all of us. It's an eternal light that never fails. We leave it and think it grows dim, but it's always ablaze within our hearts. And when you think on it as you step into your lives, into your next chapter in your life, you've already learned the skills, and you're always growing in excellence. And we just need to keep practicing. See that the other human being is just as capable as you are to walk a shining path. You deserve to serve others as they serve you, joyously, without expectation of reciprocation, lovingly, with a sense of empowerment, with a sense of humor, and always knowing that spiritual reciprocity is a never-ending upward spiral that lets us lift each other up each step of life's journey. I say to you, Dr. Deborah Saunders White, good luck, Godspeed, be fierce, sing your song, dance your dance. Each day I pray for the wisdom that will carry you to my vision, to your vision, and for the courage and strength to perform what wisdom dictates. Take leaps of faith to pray, prepare, proceed. Good luck. God bless. Thank you.
How did you discover your passion for dance?
When I realized at 6, I was scared to death when the curtain went up on my first performance. And I realized that I wasn't talking, I wasn't saying a word, because I still, when I get nervous today, I can't speak. Obviously, I'm not nervous today. But I couldn't speak. And it didn't dawn on me until after the performance, because the lights went on, I was blinded by the lights, I did my couple of little step BKs and my little steps, and the curtain came down, the curtain went back up again, and people were applauding. That did it. They liked it, you know? That kind of did it. That, I didn't know at that time, but that did it. That was the key. It said, oh, goodness. Well, I was scared, I was nervous, I overcame that, and they applauded afterwards. You know, it was one of those. It was not an aha moment. You know, I was 6 years old. I was having a good time. Weren't you at 5? Yeah? 4? Oh, excuse me, I missed 2 years, sorry. Girl, are you still dancing?
Since college, I haven't yet, but I plan on getting into the dance class.
No excuse. Don't plan on getting in it, get in it, right? Yes, I know, books are hard, I know they are, but you can do books and dance, you can. Yes, thank you, and I'm going to slide the chair over. You know what, we have a wonderful dancer in the Ailey Company. Her name is Alicia Graff, Max. She graduated magna cum laude from Columbia University. She's an amazing dancer. So don't give me the book thing. You know, I got the books, I can't dance, but combine. You don't have to turn into a professional dancer, but you can still move. You know, I'm glad you dance.
And my question for you is, what advice would your present self, seasoned and accomplished, would have given your past self, young and inexperienced at the start of your career?
I tell myself to relax, then stop fighting so hard. You know, patience, it's that thing I was talking about, not having patience with yourself. And stop, don't stop anything. I can't say stop. This is what you do. Have the patience with yourself to realize that you're on a path, you know, and the universe is in order, and there's somebody watching out for you. You know what I'm saying? And you're surrounded by people that care. You know, you might not even know who it is, but there are people that are watching out for you. You know, I just would have to keep reminding myself of my youth. In my youth, my old self would have to keep telling me, because I wasn't always that conscious when I was young.
What was your compelling reason for shifting from performance to taking on the role of artistic director of the Alvin Ailey's dance company?
What was my compelling reason? Alvin died.
Is that the only reason you would have took over?
I understand what you're saying, but I mean, I was compelled to take over the company because he asked me to take over the company, and kind of like putting a little flourish around that. I'm sorry, I have a great sense of humor. I really do. I've always had it, and everybody's always surprised to see that I have it, because I'm usually thought of like this. Am I kidding? Most people see me that way, and then when I burst out laughing or say something funny, then you know everybody's thrown. But yeah, there was no time for transition for me to go from dancer to artistic director because of his death. You know, I mean, he asked me, and that was it. Boom, you're on your way, and I had to hit the ground running. You know, hit the floor running, whatever that is. I had to. There was no time for us to mourn. You know, besides that, I was running 2 companies at the same time. I had the Jamison project, a small company, and the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater. So there was just no time to think, oh, I don't know if I can do this, or I was compelled to do it because the man asked me to do it. And I loved Alvin Ailey, and I would do anything to sustain an American institution, because the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater is that. Thank you for the question.
What is your advice to young dancers to avoid eating disorders, to maintain body image and weight?
Eating disorders, yeah. We you know, because we have, in the school, you know, we run into that sometimes, that we have nutrition classes in our school. They're mandatory nutrition classes.
That's really good.
And we just instruct young people to eat healthfully, and they always can't, because you know, you come to the United States, it's so funny, people come from different parts of the world, they come to the United States and get sick because they can't eat healthy food, because the healthy food's too expensive. So students run into that too, you know, where they can't always have, you know, a salad or something like that. However, you know, the fast food places are starting to get the salads and stuff, so that helps. But we encourage them to eat healthily. And so we have nutritionists on board at our school. That's the only thing you can do, because they're going to go and do what they want to do anyway. But we won't let people continue to, if we see them getting thin or fat, unhealthily. Either way, unhealthy, it's called health. It's not called, You know, because we take all bodies, sizes, and shapes just as long as it's healthy.
Your autobiography of Dancing Spirit, are there any plans of creating any new publications?
Are you going to publish it?
If you ask me to, I will.
Watch out. Watch out. Now that, you know, the first one, as some of you know, Dancing Spirit was the first one that I ever did. Someone else had written a biography, but the first autobiography I did, I thought I was too young because it was 93. And, but I was encouraged to do that. Look at you, you're wearing tulle, quarter ballet, okay. Go girl, you should see this outfit she has on. But the first one was, encouraged. As a matter of fact, she came over to my office. I got a call. She didn't come to my office. I went to her office. My editor was Jackie Onassis. So that was the first in 93, Dancing Spirit. She was my editor. So it was kind of like I couldn't go like, no, I don't want to do this. You know, so I did that. But now I have a wealth of more information. And I write every day on my iPad and erase it sometimes inadvertently. But I haven't even thought about publishing it yet. Give me another couple of years. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of good stuff, good stuff.
How did you come through that racial
conflict? It's, you know, Alvin had to step out. You know, it's about those doors shutting and creating a doorway and all that, you know, what I was saying in that speech. But, you know, I remember, and I'm sure some of you remember, you know, how bad it was, you know, and there's still pockets of badness around this country, and nothing changed that much. It's just subtler. But we're always in a position to make the truth known. We're always in that position. And so Alvin had to make our beauty and our presence and our intelligence and all the positive things about our culture prominent and put it in people's faces and say, look, this is who we are. This is one way of who we are. There are many ways of who we are, but this is one way of who we are. And I'm going to do it regardless of what you put in front of me, regardless of what obstacles you put in front of me. So I remember going on bus tours in, you know, in different places in the United States, because we always used to do buses. Before buses came, station wagons, where they have all the costumes piled and everything, suitcases, lighting, everything, in a bus or in a station wagon. So I was the bus era, which is the 60s. And I remember being on the bus and stopping at a place and getting off and expected to be served food and having sour milk put on the table and rotten eggs and, you know, I mean, that happened. Okay, so we didn't eat there. We ate someplace, we got food someplace else. You know what I'm saying? And then we put on a performance, you know, in whatever the university was, whatever the school was there, you know. So we've been through that, you know, and it's better than that now. But there, as I said, there's still pockets. But when you have this purpose of truth, and you have to tell your story, it's so important these days, young people, please tell your stories and put some money behind it, you know, and produce it yourselves. And stop letting everybody else tell your story. You tell your story. You know, what is that old African fable about the lion can't tell the tale? Y'all know that. The hunter can't tell the lion's tale. You don't know that? Okay, I guess it's not too popular. But as you know, the hunter cannot tell the lion's tale. The lion can tell that tale. You know what I'm saying? So Alvin had to tell that tale. And it was mandatory that he do it. It was a passion for him that he had to tell that story. So here we are now. So you know about us now, you know? And people will know about us in the future, because you will sustain the truth.
NC NCCU, we are a giving institution, and we have a great leader teaching us. We have a special gift for you from NCCU. This is a bag, and I want my students to stand up because I took up an offering because I said they need to learn how to give as well. And hold on, 1 second. Is she pretty? She's gonna come up here. This is Miss Vanna Bree Shaw, and that's her parents over there, Mr. Victor and Mrs. Kima Shaw. And she's such a doll. She's such a sweetheart. She is here with us because we have this bag that is in honor of our chancellor. It was created in honor of our chancellor. You are welcome. And this is Miss Vanna. You did a great job. Thank you, sweetheart. And we also have some young dancers who wanted to come up and just say hello to you and wave at you because you're inspiring another generation. And they wore their dance outfits because and last we have actually a very special piece from an artist who is up and coming. His name is LeGrant Taylor. When he heard that you were coming, he was inspired. And he's going to tell you a little bit about what he has.
This piece is called Lengthening Your Chords. And it's coming from Isaiah, which says, enlarge the place of your tent and let them stretch out the curtains of your dwellings, not spare. Lengthen your cords and strengthen your stakes. And I think this is appropriate for the situation. In the painting, you'll see a violin on the floor. In the painting, you'll see a violin on the floor, and on the window, and on the picture on the wall, there's a piano, and I think Miss Jamison can relate to kind of what's going on in the painting. Thank you, darling. Beautiful soul.
The lady of the evening, we could not forget you. We have not only that beautiful NCCU bag that you inspired. Yes, you do. This one is yours. It is full of things that are inspired by our chancellor and by people who wanted to honor you. And I just want to show you one thing. This program was designed with our chancellor in mind, and I selected the title called ACT because it means authentic and it means genuine. And you brought that spirit to NCCU. You are just a highlight to this institution. And I am so grateful to still be here while you are here as chancellor. And I thank you, truly. And we also have a beautiful piece for you that was created and designed specifically for you. It is called Eagles Rising. This piece is dedicated to our chancellor. And you can see the maroon and the gray so that she will always have the eagles in her heart. And it is Ladies in Praise.